right. So, what are some mental issues that you have experienced? Now, I know some of us try to keep, our mental areas clear and, not dealing a whole lot up there because we're working. But what are some of the issues that you may have dealt with in life?
Um, well, mainly, to be completely honest, breakups. Like whenever you're in a relationship and then you deal with a breakup, for me especially, it's hard because when I get into a relationship, I plan on for me and that person to be together, tight forever. But then when it unravels, because when you're in a relationship, you get to know someone, you bond with them, and then you sort of plan for the future. You start, saying, how many children do you want, or where you want to live in the future, and start naming names that are for maybe future children and all that stuff. And then you guys have some turmoil, and then things start breaking off, and then emotions, rise, and then things break off, and then you're next thing you know, you're single. It's hard to come back from that, especially when there was actual true love. And I think for me, whenever I've gotten into a relationship and I've been with them for over 2 to 3, maybe 4 years, it's super super hard to just be like, okay, yeah, next day, let's go, let's play some football or play some Xbox. Or it's like, nah, I'm trying to figure out what in the world is going on, because I done spent 4 years of my life building a relationship with you, trying to build out the next 70 or so years, and now it's like what's next. But for sure, number one for me is definitely mental things that have happened for me is breakups. So
So, would you say that you found yourself like in a depressed state or um, anxious about what's going to happen next, like what's up next, or uh, have you ever put a name to like how you're feeling then?
um yeah, it's like sort of, it's like a mix of depressed, um alone,
Okay.
and uh just feeling you know foolish, or maybe young minded, or just things that are just like, what could I have I done to maybe made things better.
Hmm.
So it's like just that self doubt, or that self
Gotcha.
just worry. But all of those things are just like, man, what's going on. So it's just, and it's hard to try to, I guess, talk to that ex back again, because it's just like, if we're definitely broken up, and we're trying to be, friends or cordial or civil, I don't want to do anything that's going to cause more damage, or me to be petty, or things to happen, because it's, you never want that.
Right.
I'll just
No.
say that you never want that. But it's just like, okay, just let things be. That's why I guess earlier we would say, go steady. I definitely don't want to be too slow, and I definitely don't want to be too fast, because uh, especially for me, Eric will say I'm crazy. So so if I'm steady, it's working. I'm gonna just keep being steady. So
Okay. Would you
Yes,
say?
I mean,
Oh, go
um,
ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
yeah, so I like I guess I could say I'm a passionate person. I tend to go do too much
what?
for people than I should, even when it's not necessary. Even like my old job, I would just make a whole meal just for all the people that work there, just because I wanted to. Like they didn't do anything for me, and they treat me badly, and I just that's just how I cope with things. Just take care of other people. But if I ever feel like down or nervous or anxious, then I want to help someone else. And that's my, I guess that would be my telltale sign when something's up.
Hmm. So
I'd
when,
say my biggest issue is that I'm an overthinker.
mhm.
And so with me overthinking, it leads to a lot of different issues. Like I'd be stressed or I'd be anxious about what's coming, be sad, frustrated, stuff like that. So I think that's one of the biggest issues that I struggle with right now is that I overthink too much. I overanalyze situations and blow it up much larger than it even needs to be, really.
Okay. What else, you, Jay?
I don't know, honestly, like I know the biggest mental thing I went through was years ago was like separation. When I
Okay.
first moved up here and away from all of my family that was in that one spot in North Carolina,
Mhm.
it was really hard. Like being able to drive 20, 30 minutes to be with like anybody in my family. Now it's a 6 hour drive. You
Mhm.
can't just get up and decide to do that one day. It's you got to plan it compared to, oh, 30 minutes. Yeah, I'll be there in an hour. Give me some time to refresh.
Gotcha.
Now it's like, hey, when are you coming down? What's this month? January? I think August will be a good month, you know?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So when that first happened, came up here, that was like one of the hardest things I dealt with, you know? I
Mhm.
think a little change happened in me from that.
Okay. Um, for myself, I would have to say probably the most real thing, or the two real components that I would say are depression, and I guess loneliness. And those are, for me, very synonymous to like things that are happening in life. Like sometimes I could be surrounded by people, me, big person, wanting to be around lots of people, but I would surround myself with lots of people when I wasn't feeling like myself. And so I would throw up those kind of shields of, okay, y'all don't need to know about me. Let me ask y'all all of these questions under the sun to kind of keep y'all off of talking about myself. Or I would find myself just hanging around at the house where people are like, hey, we going to do such and such. I'm good. Let me stay on these sticks for a little while. I'm good. I'll catch y'all next time. And I found myself like that a couple times in college, and then even after college, after I lost a job that I thought I was going to be in for a long time, and that one like put me on a like, whoo, it took God to kind of pull me out of that and just like confirm that, hey, you're gonna be all right, right? You're gonna make it through this. But it was still one of those times that I didn't feel like I was worth anything. Like it was just like it was a struggle because you're like, man, I'm putting in top notch work, thinking that I'm on the top of the world. But then they're like, yeah, you're not really cutting it. You're not really doing what you need to be doing. And so it caused me to like, well, did I like what did I do wrong? Like where did I fall off? What did I fall from? Did I not know what I was doing? All of these things kind of piled up in my head. And so I found myself depressed, like, well, I'm not good enough for this job. And this was the easy job. I'm never going to get a job where I want to be. I'm never going to get to where I need to be. Um, and so I struggled with depression for a number of years. At one point, they had me on antidepressants when I was in college to try and help alleviate some of that. And it was just tough. Excuse me. It was tough because I didn't feel like I had people that I could talk to then either. And so, it's a struggle when you know that you're going through something, but you don't feel like you have enough people that are close enough that you can say, hey, this is what I'm going through, and not feel like you're going to be judged. But I am thankful to God that some of those situations that I found myself in, I was able to, get through it. So, in like some of the ways that y'all were mentioning, um, like how do y'all cope? I know Jason mentioned that one of his coping mechanisms when he's not feeling so well, or he's not doing so well, or he's down, is to go and help others. um Jason, do you have like an example of like outside of like a work I guess relationship, has there been other times where you found yourself like taking care of others to kind of alleviate some of the, maybe hurt that you were feeling, or just you weren't feeling yourself? So, hey, let me go do this.
Well, I don't talk to anyone besides you guys and my family, so
Mhm.
really it's either work or someone at home.
Okay.
I guess it was recently. I was just so down that I made some lasagna thing for my brothers and stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
For your brothers, huh?
Yeah. Where's mine? I'm just saying.
If we all know where Jason lived, yeah, we're just gonna pull up and force him to cook something for us.
Got you. That sounds like a plan. I like the sound of that. So Jay, so how did you overcome like separation? Like how did for you, you mentioned separation from your family put you in like a different mindset. Like how did you overcome that? Like what was it that kind of okay, I'm in a new area, a new environment, I can get through this.
I mean, it wasn't the most healthy, like mentally healthy thing to do, but I just kind of overwhelmed my stuff with stuff. Like, so I put a lot of stuff on my plate, and like the type of person I am, I didn't allow myself to fail at it. So, I just picked up a lot of stuff and tried to do a lot of stuff, stay involved in a lot of stuff that I liked, that I enjoyed,
That was
and
legal, right?
yeah, legal stuff. Like, like in high school. Like I did sports. I had a few active after school clubs. I did ROTC. So there was not one day where I didn't get on the bus and go straight home. It was always, oh, today I got to stay for ROTC. Oh, today I got to stay for lacrosse. Oh, today I got to stay for wrestling. Oh, today I got to stay for the after school support group. So I just kind of kept myself busy with stuff. So I wouldn't find myself in my house, just sitting there thinking about bowing down there, getting depressed, getting low. So that's the way I dealt with it. I can just kind of get better. And now that like at the moment, if I really need to go and see my family because I'm feeling bad, I can. I got my own car. I got a job that allowed me to take off. They won't make it easy on me, but I can just go. So I kind of matured myself and dealt with it better.
Okay. So Eric, you mentioned that for you, overthinking, and I can imagine overthinking leads to not only overthinking, overanalyzing, overcompensating. Like, hey, you took it to level 11 and you only need to go to like 5. Like, how do you overcome that? Like, how is it that you work through the overthinking, or how do you try and process it differently to not think about it so much?
Um, it's the biggest thing is catching it before I start overthinking.
Mhm.
Like I'll give for example, like reading text messages. I'm a person you'll send me a text message and I'll read it about 10 times before I respond. That's just something I do. It helps me to not, I just respond irrationally to the text.
Okay.
Helps me to compose what I'm gonna say. Um, like for some people, oh, you read it 10 times, you're overthinking it. Just send something back.
Mhm.
Um, but I just can't do it. So one of the things that I try to do is just catch it and say, oh, it's okay. I'm just gonna do this,
Mhm.
or oh, it's gonna be okay. What happens? What happens? So try to catch it before I get to the point where like I'm stuck in a loop. I'm constantly thinking about the same thing over and over again, or find all these bad things that could happen. Just try to catch it before it happens, before I start thinking too much.
Okay. All right. J3. So you mentioned relationships, like at the end of a relationship, coming up with like, man, like seeing what's next, the loneliness, the, some depression, if you will. If you had to throw a name on it, like how do you overcome that? How do you like get out of that like funk, that cloud that you may be in?
Um, well, being by myself, I'm already kind of an independent person, um, as you, if you will. But it's a cliche thing to say, but if you take time to yourself, then you'll really do yourself good. It's really a really true statement, and it's very true. At least to me, it worked for me. But it's also better to know what kind of person you are and what kind of personality is within yourself, because since I'm more so of an independent person, if I let things just sit and process, then I'm able to, okay, I'll go left, or I'll go right, or I'll go straight, or I'll just stay right here until I feel like I'm gonna move. But if I'm just, allowing everything to process in my mind, so that way I can just determine what steps I'm gonna make, that definitely will help me, especially because then I can say, okay, you know what, today I'm just tired of sitting down. I'm gonna go work out, or I'm gonna go hit up Eric or Jay or Jason and let's go out to eat or something. If I'm just by myself in my thoughts, then I'm just like, okay, I'm letting things process. And there's two quotes that I try to live by all the time. One is made by Brock Lesnar. It's eat, sleep, conquer, and repeat. You got to eat. You got to make sure your whole body is fueled and ready to go. You got to sleep so that way you can have the energy to get up and do whatever it is. So that way when you conquer, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this again and again and again until there's nothing else to conquer. And then there's another one that I try to live by, is everything always happens for a reason, and everything does happen for a reason. So I try to not let myself beat myself up just because everything didn't work out. I try to just say, okay, you know what? It was meant to be. If things are supposed to be better down the line, then it'll come in like the next couple years or so. But I'm not going to beat myself up just because it didn't work right now when I thought it was going to happen. So.
Okay. Yeah. From my standpoint, it's one of those where a lot of my focus has been God. In some of my lowest of lows, God has always sent people to kind of remind me, hey, this isn't the end of it, right? There's more to be done. There's more for you to do. And you can be woe is me and have a pity party, or you can stand up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward in the things that I've made you do. And I'm just like, man, God, why you gotta be so mean to me? So like, I'm trying to be sad. Like, I just want to be sad and by myself for a second. And then just the reminders that I'm sorry, son, but you're never alone. And I'm like, okay, all right. And just some of those reminders of, hey, the thoughts that you're thinking, okay, get over them. Let's go. Keep moving. You got something else to do. You got more to do. And I think that is one of the ways that I overcame a lot of things. Like, there is more to the dreams that I'm dreaming. And if I give up on them now, they'll never be reached. I want to do things right by my kids. I want to do right by my wife. I want to do right by my family. So my family, I want to do right by the squad. And so if I give up, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, if I stay depressed all the time, then I can't bring energy to the amped up squad. I can't. I can't live an amp life living down in the dumps. It's just not kosher. It's just not the way that I wanted to live. And so God is definitely my cornerstone for getting out of and overcoming some stuff. And I have found more recently that sometimes it requires me to talk to people. It's like, you may not always want to, but sometimes it requires you to, okay, let me open up, let me talk to somebody. I've been off for a minute. Look, here's what I'm going through. And I usually don't, right? I usually hear what everybody else has to say. I'm their sounding board. I drop some, godly wisdom, pray with them, things like that. They move on. And then I've taken on a burden that, okay, you taking on their burden and you trying to figure out their walk, their purpose, and you haven't figured out what yours is yet. And so sometimes talking to people has been a big thing for me that has been a very recent within like the last couple years. Like, I've been here a long time, and the last couple years is like, okay, now I'm starting to open up and talk to people about that stuff. Yeah, so that's kind of how I kind of work through my mental health issues, I guess, and overcoming some of them. So in that vein, like, how do you all deal with like some of your friends that you may think has either a mental health issue, or they have a mental health issue? Like, how do you all deal with them and some of their potential struggles?
I think it's a little easier to recognize in friends just because you see them and you see how they act. And so once they start acting differently or they start responding to the stuff differently, they stop showing up to the hangouts. You can kind of tell, okay, something's off. Maybe I should reach out to this person and check on them, see what's going on. And that's what I usually do, try to check on somebody. If I notice that something's off, I notice that they're not talking to us or responding the way that they usually do. When I joke around as much as they do, they're not laughing like that. I try to just reach out to them, make sure everything's going okay, and see if they need anything.
Yeah.
Jason, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was saying people usually don't try to show that they have something going on. And if you like try to point it out, then they get mad. So usually the best way is to just support them and let them know that you're supporting them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jake, Jersey 3, either y'all.
I feel like being a Black man and having a lot of friends that are people of color, you got to realize, like, we use this term like that's a white people thing, and like I don't mean to offend, but when like if you need help, you need help. It's nothing wrong with asking. So like you can't really see a Black person going to get therapy for mental health. So, like when you're friends and stuff are down, you're like, yo, if you need something, yo, I'm here for you. Yo, you're the homie. Just let me know. And they're like, yeah, I hear you. But then again, you got that pride. And then you say, oh, I can't ask for help. I can't sit down and talk to someone about how life is hard right now. So you got to realize the way I deal with it with friends is like, I just let them know. I'm like, yo, I'm going to give you your space, but yo, just know I'm here. Just ring my phone. I can help you. Just ask. That's all you got to do. A closed mouth won't get fed, and just let them know. And you got to kind of let them work it with themselves, because when you try to help, it's kind of like impeding. You can make things worse when they're not ready to be helped.
Okay.
Yeah. To kind of piggyback off of everyone else, especially Jay, like he said, some people have a little bit of pride. I mean, who doesn't? But it's kind of like trying to break that mold of pride, just saying like, if you ever need anything, I got you. And they'll be like, yeah, all right, cool. But then it's like going that one step further and just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and bring them that, that meal plate of, food, or go ahead and take them out and go for a walk, or, go ahead and take them out of that element that they're in just for that moment, and go ahead and let them, I guess, take a breather. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now, especially, being a teacher and, being in ROTC. As Jay knows, if you're, in ROTC, it's a very active kind of class. Like, you're always doing stuff. You're always walking around. You're always doing drills. You're always doing the cadet challenges and all that stuff. So these kids that are in this class, they haven't done any of that in over a year. So they're at home, they're sitting in their room, they're not doing flag detail, they're not doing drills, they're not saluting their sergeants and their colonels, they're sitting at home. So what I've been, trying to do, especially for this last quarter, is they've done their first cadet challenge, was they run a mile and they do their push-ups and all that stuff, but they did it at home. So I'm trying to figure out a way how we can go to the school, and go to the the football field and the track and do it there, where they're not cooped up in this I don't know, like this 10 by 10 foot room, and doing nothing. I'm trying to get them out the house. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, I know you guys have been dealing with this COVID for over a year. Let's take a break. Let's get some fresh air, and let's get out and just do something where you guys aren't feeling like you're alone. So.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's dealing with friends with mental health issues. You don't always know that they're having them, right? Like you all said, you don't always know. And from, our throwing the race card in there, from Black brothers, it's like we have to show strength all the time. Like it's one of those things. Is even growing up, I remember, what you crying for? It's like, oh, my bad. Like I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to cry. Like things like that is kind of how we're raised, or some of us are it's like, you shouldn't be crying. Get on over the field and do what you got to do. Okay, all right. Yeah, and so figuring that out, we gotta just understand that, hey, everybody's not gonna want to talk about it, but making sure that people understand that we're there for them, I think, is one of those things that can go a long way, before anything happens. I know that, yeah, there is just a lot of stuff to unpack in mental health and just dealing with it. And for those friends that we don't know, right, are dealing with it, just confirming that, hey, if you see something that's different, hey man, what's going on? If you need to talk, right, I'm here for you. I got your back. And going from there, let's see. I'm thinking, I know that we are gonna have to slow this up for a little while, and start another one soon. We got we still got like 3 or 4 questions to ask to go through. And I know we've been doing this for almost an hour now. So how about this? We are gonna, we'll cut it off. Do we have almost like 59 minutes or so? Like, because if we're close to that time, we can, drop off for 5 minutes to start another one. But kind of bring the topic back and at least finish it off, for another half an hour. So we'll do a total of 3 episodes, from the mental health, and just really dive in, because there are a few more things that I'm curious, about with you all, that I think are important for our listeners to hear. So what are we looking like time wise, timekeeper?
Sitting about an hour.
It's been about an hour. Okay.
Because I
All
think
right,
I started
so
recording at 7:35.
Gotcha. And we about 8:32. So all right. So what we'll do is, well, if you got the unlimited, right? So we can roll in for another half an hour and finish up the questions and go that way. Cool. Well, let's do that. We got it's like 4 questions left. We've done 1 of 6. We got 4, 7 through 10 that we can knock out. But I also want to give you all the opportunity to kind of delve into the questions, the answers, and if we have to go another hour in it to really get into it, we got the time. It's our show. That's right? It's our show. So we can go as long as we absolutely need to get the point across to the people. So I want y'all to chew on this real quick. Have you ever dealt with just wanting to give up, right? Or suicidal thoughts to that extreme, the suicidal thought thing. I'm not going to say that everybody has. I know that at one point the numbers were like 1 in 5 has considered suicide, has considered that, and then I think of that 1 out of 5, 1 out of 4 or something like that attempted, and then 1 out of 10 were successful or something along those lines. Like it was, yeah. Went through it and I was just like, man, okay. It's just one of those things that you want to be considering or thinking about. So, guys, what about you all? Have you ever had the just wanting to give up, or suicidal thoughts?
I know not too long ago, my old doctor misdiagnosed me and said I had pancreatic cancer.
What? Misdiagnosed you?
Yeah. And at that point I was like, okay, didn't really tell nobody. I was like, I'm gonna die anyways. So I just didn't really care. And I had all the blood work and everything, and then he came back and said, oh, it's just high protein. You need to do this and that with your diet. And I was just mad. I'm like, what? And I didn't feel like doing all the paperwork to get a new doctor. So I just let it go, because I still didn't care at that point. And he misdiagnosed me again. Remember, I had the scan for the headaches and stuff. And he said I'd have to go to an EMT and have them remove something. And the EMT, when I saw him, he said, "It's not even that serious. What's your doctor talking about?" Because they would have had to cut open my cheek, go back there and take something out, and then sew it back closed, and I'd be out of work for like maybe a few months.
Jason, you need to sue this doctor, bro. Like,
That sounds like a setup.
he told you had pancreatic cancer and you need to have surgery on your head.
You
He
fire his
misdiagnosing-
tail.
Right. Misdiagnosing you the whole nine.
That's
Nah,
crazy.
man.
Yeah, so I got in the doctor now, but I know there's too much paperwork that I'm not gonna sue the guy.
Sue
Oh,
him.
oh boy, you better pursue
Cause you
something.
emotional trauma, emotional distress.
Oof,
God,
that's crazy.
golly.
That is crazy. All right, guys, what about y'all?
Personally, I don't think I've thought of suicide.
Okay.
I've thought of giving up, like just doing nothing for the rest of my life. Sure, like just sitting around doing nothing. But I don't think I have enough willpower to go ahead and just be like, you know what, where's the belt, and just put it around my neck or drive a car off a cliff. I don't think I would ever want to do that, because I feel like there's so much left in life to live for, and so many more things to do that, you know, if I just give that up so fast, you know, it's just a plane ticket straight to hell. And I don't want to be there, but two, I feel like there's so many moments that I would be giving up, and so many people that I would be letting down, and, you know, feeling sad for, you know, for the rest of their life, just because, you know, I just went ahead and took my life. So I try not to ever get to that point of just be like, you know what, I'm done, and just go ahead and get a bullet or anything like that. I tried my best to not do that, because that's scary.
I'll say, like John, I haven't considered suicide, but I've definitely been like real down and like depressed, real gloomy. Everything's dark. My freshman year, I had went off to college and I was by myself. I didn't get a dorm because I didn't want to share a room with anybody. So I ended up being basically, I had my own room. I was always by myself. I didn't have any family out there. I don't talk to people really. I'm not very sociable, so I had no friends out there. And so for the first time, I was really just by myself alone. And it was really hard. I had to worry about paying all my bills. Now I got a car note, got insurance, I got my rent, the utilities, I got to buy all my food. And it was like my first time really getting thrown into that, I guess. I had never worked a job before I had got out there. So it was like everything just hit me all at once.